it seemed that when they were first investigating why my kidneys were failing, they were hooked on to, could it be HIV or some sort of STD, when there was nothing in my case history that would indicate why they would need to do that. But it's almost like they couldn't get it out of their head that it couldn't be anything other than that reason, to the point where one of the consultants, and this is the God's honest truth, one of the consultants said, well, if you had HIV, we would know what to do with you.
Sure. Affinity Xtra. Be Xtra.
Okay guys, this is Roger Moore here on Affinity HOA to celebrate gospel music of black origin. If you're watching it on YouTube, what's up? If you are listening to the session live right now, what's up? And if you are on any other networks, wagwan. Anyway, but this is Roger here on the edge, alongside my esteemed guest today, Dee Moore. Dee Moore. We're if you're thinking, are we related? I'm Roger Moore and this is Dee Moore. Watching the videos, we're husband and wife for a few years now. We've got two big boys, we've got two teenagers, and praise God, we still look not drained out. I don't know why that, but we just do not. But at the same time, when I'm doing all these definitely crazy stuff, believe it or not, Dee does some crazy stuff as well. And over the past year, Dee has been doing some extremely crazy stuff, I must admit. When I say crazy stuff, in terms of podcasting. Now, what you get, I'll just give you guys a bit of an intro, as I usually do, because I love chat. A little intro. It's like basically everything I do, the way I do it, Dee does the opposite. So I'm just proper raw, like even if I do that, I never think about, but you get all the all the mistakes, you get everything, you get all the feelings. Somebody phones me, I'm like, oh wait, why my mum phoning before? And I'll put that in the podcast. Dee records it, edits it. The total opposite to how I do approach my podcast, and definitely like she goes into detail, like make sure everyone's got the same volume, vocals, interviews. It's crazily detailed, but it has led to a podcast which has been noted within a year by one of the major companies about kidney care UK, which is fantastic. But we're going to go into the what's that? Charities, sorry. And but what we want to do, this is Black History Month, guys. Yep. So you're thinking, why are we doing this in Black History Month? What's this got to do with us? The actual show is, we know as I'm gonna almost come as Afro slaves now, but basically slave generation people and black people, our health is deteriorating in this country, and we blame it on not enough sun. That's just lazy. That is true, but lazy. There's a lot of factors in there, our diet, different things, but the problem is also the way they take care of us is a major input into this, and Dee admittedly touches a lot of these subjects. If you dare, check our podcast. But first and foremost, before I go any more and end up just chatting about everything, and obviously Dee has to explain things herself anyway still, but Dee, just give us this is the first time on the edge. Nadia's been trying to line this up for the past year, and now she's lined it all up. She was going, man, how's you gonna talk with Dee on the edge? I'll be edge-ish. So explain, Dee, right? So you got Diary of a Kidney Warrior. Can you just give us just a 5 minutes? How did you get here, and why you're doing it, and where you're at, and I want to go into Black History Month and how we're gonna be trying to promote what's going on with Kidney Care UK, I believe.
Okay, well, my journey began in 2018. In the summer of 2018, I was experiencing flu-like symptoms, and over the course of time felt very ill. And long story short, I went along to A&E. I was tested and then was admitted to the hospital. I was in the hospital for just over 2 months, and during this time my kidney function plummeted. The doctors couldn't explain why my kidneys weren't functioning, and why I had this loss of kidney function. And basically, to cut a long story short, they spent weeks trying to diagnose me and couldn't explain what had caused my kidneys to fail. They just put it down to an infection, and they couldn't explain why I had the infection. And so at the time of discharge, I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease. And after then, it was a case of, was I going to gain back kidney function? What was going to happen? And again, long story short, no, it became apparent that this was not just a short-term thing, but it would be a lifelong thing. And so when that realization hit me, I thought, well, what am I going to do? And so I decided to share my journey online and what I was learning, because when I looked online, I didn't see anyone at that time that looked like me. And so I thought, well, it will start with me then. And so I'd started a vlog called Diary of a Kidney Warrior. And from the vlog, at everybody needs to know, Roger's suggestion. So it was actually my husband Roger's suggestion that I should start a podcast. And at that time, I didn't even know what one was. But Roger suggested I start a podcast. And that was when I started researching about podcasts and decided, that I wanted to go for it. So that's how Diary of a Kidney Warrior, the podcast, was born.
And she did research, guys. She did more than me when it came to research. I just did it. I just did it and learned on the way. Spent 3 years learning in the jungle, while Dee just went into the instruction manual and kind of worked out what podcast and what it actually meant. So I thought, this could be, I don't know what this is anyway. So but no, that's absolutely fantastic. And I think a lot of people do is hide away from. We want to die empty in this community. This is why we do the station. We want to put out our knowledge. We'll put out that interaction, so the next generation be blessed by the information and the journeys that we've been, because we never received that. I don't know what you think, Dee. How often did we get passed down information to support our health?
Very rarely. I think that growing up in a very traditional Pentecostal church, it was all about prayer and fasting. It wasn't actually about the practical side of preventing illness in the first place. I mean, I think we all know that at the end of church, who you could get a sweet from at the end of church, the church mothers.
Yeah,
and 9 times out of 10, that was because they were diabetic. So there was a high proportion of churchgoers I was growing up that were diabetic, who I didn't realize as a child that's why they had sweets, but that's why they had sweets, to help their blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
But there was nothing at that time that was preached or taught or said that was about how, preventing becoming ill in the first place. So absolutely not, no.
And yes, I've had a point. And I remember when just as we got married, went to Acart School in church, and they do this a massive, not saying the best part of the service, but the interesting part of the service was trying to get back to the back of service, and Sister Bailey and her coconut, is it Gazadas she had it? You know what I'm saying? Was it Gazadas, isn't it? Yeah. I had to buy one of them, go back to Dee's mom's house and have a hot Ribena with that, you know what I mean? And it's absolutely fun. Now, unfortunately, Gazada fails every health and safety, every flag of diabetes, kidney disease, everything you shouldn't have is all in the Gazada. Now, it's good to have it in small doses, but it's amazing how much cakes and sweets we have in the back of church and no knowledge about eating good food. Now, in your journey, you've spoken to, how many podcasts have we done so far?
So I'm coming up to episode 43 now, I believe.
43. Okay, cool. So you got 43 episodes. I don't want to pick on black people, but we're doing Black History Month, so we'll be picking on our black habits. Looking back at your diets, black people's diets, let's be real, you know what I mean? You go home, you look at that plate that your mom gives you every Sunday. How much of it would go against a lot of the people, what people said?
Well, my mom would cook from scratch, so from that aspect, it definitely reduced the amount of chemicals that I were exposed to.
Okay, good.
But what I would say is that the seasoning that we use contains a lot of salt, and So that's where the issue would come in, because obviously having too much salt has an impact in terms of high blood pressure, which is the second major cause of kidney failure is hypertension or high blood pressure. So from that aspect, a lot of my food that I had was cooked in the oven, so there wasn't as much frying when I was growing up. But certainly in terms of I think portion control would probably be the biggest issue, because with my mom, like many Caribbean mothers, the portion sizes would be big, and things like rice would take up probably 3/4 of the plate.
Amen to that.
It should only take up a much smaller proportion of the plate. So I'd say, yeah, there's different elements that as an adult now, and especially as someone with kidney disease, kidney warrior, as I embrace my
your terminology,
my, what I call myself. There are things that I do differently to safeguard myself that I wish I knew before, but what you didn't know, you didn't know.
Great. I'm looking at really. When because obviously I hear some of the stuff through the podcast, some of the responses that Dee has before, even when she's in the interviews and she feeds back and she goes, some of the things that we look back on what we have and haven't done. But okay, I don't want to go too harsh, but has the health system supported black people over the years when it comes to our general health? Is it a lack of knowledge, or is it a case of just blatant, just leave us there? One of the things as I come across is any information about that. Sorry guys, if you're thinking, Roger, you're gonna say it and it's just bad. Listen, you're just thinking that it's free health, so we should just accept whatever we get. But is there a difference in terms of the approach with kidney disease with black people, or kidney, internal organs, and how they're monitored than our other colleagues?
I mean, that's a very big question, and I would say with my own experience, I definitely have been failed many times by the NHS, and undertones to what I experienced when I was in the hospital certainly beg the question, am I being treated this way because I'm a black woman? If I was a white woman, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman, would I be experiencing the same kind of challenges that I experienced when I was in the hospital? From seemingly small things to, I heard comments that the doctors don't know how to approach you, you're so serious, this, that and the other. Well, yeah, I'm going to be very serious, because you're telling me my kidneys are failing, but you're not telling me why they're failing. No one knows anything. It was a serious situation, a life and death situation. So yes, it is very serious to me. I take my health seriously. To more, and being very frank, it seemed that when they were first investigating why my kidneys were failing, they were hooked on to, could it be HIV or some sort of STD, when there was nothing in my case history that would indicate why they would need to do that. But it's almost like they couldn't get it out of their head that it couldn't be anything other than that reason, to the point where one of the consultants, and this is the God's honest truth, one of the consultants said, well, if you had HIV, we would know what to do with you. So again, would they be saying things like that to my white counterparts? I don't know. But all I do know from my own experience is that it is very vastly different. The reality is, and the statistics show that black people wait longer for kidney transplants. They have worse outcomes. So it is a very different experience, and it's very layered. I mean, for the interviews that I've done for the podcast, certain issues have been raised, and one of those is systemic racism. And we can't pretend and shy away from the fact that people, nurses and doctors are real people with real attitudes, and these attitudes come through in the care that they give. So it would be very naive and misrepresentative of, what the truth is. And I think there's different layers. I think that ultimately there is a big mistrust between black people and medical professionals, and that makes it very difficult, to move forward when the communication isn't coming through effectively from medical professionals, and people aren't open to hear what they have to say. So I think one of the things that I'm trying to do with Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast is create a safe space, so that people know that they can, the professionals know that they can come and they can speak, and the patients, kidney warriors, can come and speak, and each can learn from the other, because I think that is ultimately the way forward. The only way that we can the only way that we can challenge things and change things is by addressing them head on, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to do with the podcast.
No, that's 100% cool, because I feel that a lot of people have been affected. They even died from kidney disease, and they die in silence. They don't say anything. I'm not saying it's bad. It's not for everybody, but we have a lot of people that have faced not only injustice by the NHS, but has been affected by these diseases and infections and so on. And we just want to. It's important to communicate so the next generation can go, okay, I need to operate a lot different. I need to eat a lot different. I need to exercise. I need to go for a walk. It's important not only for my mind but for my body. I need my body to sweat, so you can sweat out the salty stuff in my system. So it's really important for us to realize that. Now, what we don't want to do, yes, we want to bring up awareness here on the station. We want people to do this, so definitely go to Diary of the Kidney Warrior, and I'll put the links in the description when it comes to the YouTube video anyway, and the videos that you see out there. But do link into it, and you'll see a catalog. So I don't really want to be covering the whole footage out there. What I would say, my wife always says this: go through the first episode and go all through it, because it's amazing. The different podcasts. So make sure you go in there, and I'm not gonna go through one of the podcasts right now. I'm gonna literally say direct you to it now. Now we've got a charity called Kidney Care UK who I've heard of kidneys, but I ain't heard of Kidney Care UK. By the way, kidneys is amazing with gravy, yeah, you know what I'm saying, and mashed potato is one of the most amazing things, and some green peas. You put that bad boy together, it's finished, and that's my nan's lovely nan, you know what I'm saying. She did a fire kidney, but that's the most I heard about kidneys, and I thought they were in my body somewhere anyway still, yeah. So I didn't really understand what the kidneys were, but there's a organization, a charity is there to support people who are going through this journey, and I feel like we die silently and we need to communicate. Now, explain to me, how has Kidney Care UK helped you?
Kidney Care UK helped me. My first point of contact with Kidney Care UK was not long after I came out of the hospital, and I just didn't, know where to turn. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, because that was the first thing that I thought, when I was diagnosed with having kidney disease, was I'm gonna die. This is a death sentence, and I was very afraid. And so I did a search on the internet, and I was looking for support kidney charities, and Kidney Care UK was the first one that came up. And so I was able to access some telephone counselling until counselling was arranged with my renal unit. So that was actually my first contact with the charity. It was actually support, helping me to come to terms with having this diagnosis and what this would mean, because it really is a life changing diagnosis, and to your point, it is a silent killer. The reality is black people are 5 times more likely to develop kidney disease, and you can lose up to 90% of kidney function with no symptoms. So
wait guys, yeah, listen, this sounds like some prison thing, because we're 4 times more likely to end up in prisons, yeah, and how on earth are we 5 times likely to get kidney disease? Is it because black people get kidney disease, or there's a lot of other factors? I'm not saying to go into, but that's unacceptable.
I totally agree with you. And in the series that I'm doing on the podcast for Black History Month, I actually address all of those questions.
Yes.
Where I'm looking at, why are, and that literally is the title, why are black people more likely to develop kidney disease? And that does go to part of the reason being is because the number 1 cause of kidney disease is type 2 diabetes. The number 2 cause of, as I've said earlier, of kidney disease is
salt.
hypertension
So.
or high blood pressure. So
Okay,
as you
cool.
know, diabetes and high blood pressure are prevalent, very high in the black community. So, and so is heart disease as well. So they're kind of interlinked.
So I don't want to be ignorant here. High blood pressure. We're the most relaxed set of people out there. That's cool, my man. That's just cool. So how we got high blood pressure? We're the most relaxed. We're the most relaxed set of people out there. The most relaxed person is a Jamaican man, and I kind of say, "Yo, that's cool, blood. That's cool." You know what I'm saying? So how are we so high under pressure?
I would say that in the Western world, in the system that we live in of white supremacy,
Struggle.
there is a lot of, people have to deal with a lot of racism, a lot of stress. All of these could cause high blood pressure. On top of that, things within the diet causes high blood pressure. And the reality is black people hold on to salt longer than white people do. So our bodies actually, keep the salt longer than white people do. And the reason for that obviously is coming from a hot climate. You don't want to dehydrate, and so the body, it makes sense that the body's going to hold on to certain things. But obviously moving to the sunny old England, if the body's still doing the same in a wet, cold climate, it's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
So there's more than one reason physically, in terms of society, sociology, the factors that affect us, why we are more likely to develop it. But I think more research needs to be done, and I'm sure we will find out even more reasons why black people are more likely to get it.
And that's definitely cool. And this is all on the kidney care, all on the Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast. So if you can just go in there, do check it out. Again, I'll put this plug, but there's definitely as one of the special guests he did have was from the United States. Just explain that.
Yeah, so
I was like crazily cool.
The first episode in the Black History Month special is with the first black female transplant surgeon, Dr. Scantlebury, and I was really excited to do that interview and really looking forward to it coming out on Monday. But what I also wanted to add was, I mentioned that Kidney Care UK do counselling, but they also provide lots of other services as well.
Okay, cool.
So they provide advocacy, advice in terms of benefits, because obviously for some people they're not able to work pre-COVID, enabling people to get grants to go on holiday or even to make alterations to their home, things like that. They do a lot of campaign work, a lot of advocacy work, a lot of work trying to get policies and laws changed, especially as we saw during lockdown with people shielding, things like that.
Okay, yeah.
Information. They have a monthly magazine.
Cool.
They have a kidney kitchen where they share recipes that are kidney friendly.
No seasoning.
Well, you know what? There's other alternatives to the seasosoning that we use, herbs and spices that really do taste good and make a difference. So, sorry,
DJ Nadlux, just a shout out to DJ Nadlux. She criticizes me. You know what I'm saying? She criticizes me for just putting herbs on my when I do my vegetable concoctions. I chuck in there my chickpeas, my beans. Dee can pay testimony to this, and I just chop up some pepper, chuck some kale in it. I chuck some kale in there. I just bung it in there still, and I'll put some mixed herbs on it and whatever, and obviously the pepper, and just drop some black pepper over it, And she says, how do you have the food? And she puts paprika and everything on top of vegetable so to give it some flavoring. Sorry, that's not good for you, sister. Sorry, you know what I'm saying? You need to just slow down and start eating like me. But anyway, sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. So they do a lot, and they also have a quarterly magazine for kidney patients.
Okay.
So they do a lot of things to support not only the person with kidney disease, but also their families as well, because people forget that the people around the person who is ill also need support as well. So they also provide support for the families too.
And you know what? You know what's sad? And you know what, guys? And this is where I know I'm hard on on the lack of support of our white Christian colleagues. But I have to say, over the past couple of years, you've seen some of the charities and organizations out there actually look at themselves and step up and said, listen, we've got to do something with changing the balance and having communication. And Kidney Care UK from the outside is like, oh my gosh, look at these guys, they don't talk to us as black people. But I have to salute them. You know, they've interacted and with Dee, and I know Dee, you don't really hide anything from them in one sense. You know, you're quite straight with the struggles that we have as black people when it comes to them, and they have taken a hit at the same time and actually invested into, okay, we need to move things forward. And this is what it looks like. This is what reconciliation looks like. This is what actually we've got to try and go on a journey. It can't be solved overnight. You know what I mean? Some of these unacceptable stats of 5 times lightly can't happen overnight, but it starts from Kidney Care UK opening ear to Dee Moore, contacting them, and then supporting her podcast on top of that, to get out there, to support the promotions of it, to support the production of it. And you know, so I have to salute Kidney Care UK for actually being an organization that actually said, you know what, this may be small for now, but we have to take away our ignorance towards the black community. Is that a true statement? Or?
Yeah, I mean, they're listening. And
okay.
I did an interview. One of the episodes that I did on the podcast was actually with the chairman of Kidney Care UK. And he said, you know, we're listening.
Yeah,
this is the time that, you know, for things that people are concerned about or want to know information about, they are, you know, they want to be able to reach people of all communities.
Yeah, man.
And so myself as a black person, you know, being able to say, look, this is what I think that the black community needs. And obviously I'm one person, I don't represent everybody, but it's having that first opportunity, that step towards it. Because like you said, things cannot change overnight, but very few things happen overnight. It's taking those steps towards and making changes. And I'm very proud to be partnering with Kidney Care UK on the partnership, you know, with the partnership. And I'm really, really proud that they, like I said, they've come open-hearted and said, what do you need? What do you think?
So technically you're ambassador basically for the minute.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. I'm certainly working with them to make things better for kidney patients. So
okay. No. This guys, you know, and we do appreciate, you know, even our station. We reached out to Kidney Care UK to see if we can actually, you know, highlight them. You know, we had a conversation. It's interesting about a month or so, 2 months ago. We looked at how do we interact with charities, and I think too often, you know, on stations we said, "Yo, donate some money towards a charity, whatever." But the key thing is you can have all the best sickle cell investments and all the money in the world, but if people are not aware of these services, what is the point? And we now are going for a focus of, okay, let's really challenge how we approach supporting charities. Let's make people aware of Kidney Care UK. Her husband has got kidney disease, and it's an absolute struggle. He's absolute struggling. Even if I said to listen to the podcast, do this, and it's almost a case of they just carry on struggling, and the support is there. And I will continually just hint to us, listen, get him to listen to these guys because her husband's depressed. You know what I mean? They're talking about transplant. You know, they're saying that we won't be able to have dialysis in 2-3 years time because his veins will collapse. All the information, you know. And I would have to reiterate, dialysis, you know, when you hear people talk about dialysis, some people think, it's just a little 2 needles in you and it's done. Listen, I remember the day. You remember when we went into the hospital, and it was it's traumatic. You know, you actually think, and even the better option is, it's just, let's not get ourselves in the situation where we in that stage. You know what I'm saying? I must admit, you know, there's a guy that we know who's gone through heart failure, kidney failure, and I don't know how the guy is still alive, and he's there still having his dialysis to this very day, you know. And he had so he's a strong, and but I don't want to look at him and say, oh yeah, I can get through this. It is a tough journey, and he's glad to hear that Kidney Care UK, you know, we've got to point people there. We've got to because they're there to listen. They may be ignorant in certain areas culturally, but they're there for us. What else would you say, Dee?
I would say that they are learning, you know, just like everything else,
Yes.
asking questions when it comes to culture and what is needed. And everyone's journey is different. For me, I was told in 2019 by my consultant that he believed I was 6 months away from dialysis, and I told him that I'd prove him wrong. And I'm proud to say that 2 years later, I'm not on dialysis. So everybody's journey is different. For me, preventing myself, you know, making the changes necessary to ensure that I maintained and I even increased my kidney function. So that is one road that is possible for some people, but for some people it's transplantation. For some people, dialysis is their only option. And, you know, the different modalities of dialysis, you know, there's different options. There's peritoneal dialysis, there's hemodialysis, there's home hemodialysis. Different things work for different people, and it is possible to have, you know, a full life whilst on dialysis. But as you mentioned, it is a challenging journey. But kidney disease is a serious disease and actually kills more people than some cancers combined. So people know when they hear the word cancer that it's serious, and when they hear the word diabetes, people know that it's serious. But 9 times out of 10, when I say things about kidneys, people don't even know what the kidneys are or what they do. So it is a serious thing. But like you said, information is out there, and Kidney Care UK are excellent at, you know, providing information, and they are the UK's leading kidney patient support charity, and so they are very patient focused.
Good.
And so they are looking at how they can meet the needs of kidney patients, and that is really key and so important.
No, that's definitely all good, and we do want to point people over there. I would, you know, as we open it going looking back, I know it's kind of a heavy question to finish off on.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You know, the knowledge that you have now, what would you change looking back? Looking back at life, how would you approach your, you know, you're coming out of school, or even because obviously you can't just say when you're 8 years old you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But you know, when you come into the age of control of what you do, how you communicate, what would you do different?
I think because in my case, I've never smoked, I've never drunk.
True.
You know, it wasn't something that I did to myself. Like, unfortunately in life, sometimes things happen, and you're looking for an answer, and the doctors looked for an answer and they couldn't find one. So unfortunately in my case, it just happened. For some people it is as a direct result of their poor diet or poor life choices. Maybe they've taken drugs or whatever it might be that's caused their kidneys to fail. But I think that you know, I've always been someone that's drank a lot of water. So actually probably, I don't it's very difficult for me to say, but I think one of the things that I definitely would have done differently was I think when we first got married, we were very fond of a certain, I'm not giving anyone free advertisement, we were very, very fond of a certain pop or soda, as some people call it. And
it wasn't Corona pop either.
And I think that eating definitely less fried food, and definitely cutting out the pop.
What about meat?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I have done as a stage 4 kidney warrior is reduce my intake of animal protein. So I cut out red meat, and I live a semi-vegetarian kind of, you know.
So imagine when we 20 years ago telling ourselves that we were gonna,
I wouldn't have believed it.
It's even 10 years ago, like we're gonna have a day with no meat.
Yeah.
Like that was like we're gonna have a meal without this. Now I want to get sponsorship by this company, and it'd be definitely cool. But I tell you, one of the biggest transformations that we had when it came to eating food, especially we took Dee to this what do you call that place called it over in Sutton?
Yeah, we're not going to advertise.
Yeah, we're not going to advertise that place. Yeah,
a nice restaurant.
Yeah, it was a very nice restaurant, and they had this thing, and it was like, yeah, man, a vegan cheeseburger in it. Yeah,
yeah.
And it was like some by chance you said to yourself, "Are you going to go for that?" And I went for my avocado and chicken one, you know, and with no mayo, no sauce.
Yeah, I was having a meat-free day.
You was meat-free day, so you tried it, and you ate into it. You thought, "Oh my goodness sake, this tastes like a burger."
Well, I called the waiter, if you remember. And
yeah, said.
And I said, I ordered the vegan burger, and he goes, "Yeah, that's the vegan burger," and I was really, really
impressed.
shocked. Yeah,
impressed. Listen, back in the day, a vegan would be namming lettuce and tomatoes, you know what I mean? And these days, you know, we're eating burgers that almost taste like burgers, and it must admit that revolutionized things. So sometimes, and the funny thing is, guys, when I go home and Dee does these Beyond Meat burgers anyway that you do and whatever. I'll just say it because people need to go buy it anyway. Still, you know, whatever. Yo, if you're gonna sponsor us, you know, holla at your boy Raj, and send us a big crate. You know what I mean? And we'll put it in the freezer. But and I must admit, when you eat these burgers, it's totally now the size of quarter pounders, and you eat them. Trust me, you can go to sleep nice because it doesn't set. It doesn't. You feel the difference between vegetable and when I have a beef one. It's like you have to, you know, it takes longer to digest it, and you're just thinking, what is that doing to my system?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's a lot more plant-based options now than there ever has been before.
100%.
And the whole point of plant-based is that it's going to try and be a similar kind of taste and texture to meat. And absolutely, those burgers have achieved that goal, because I actually don't miss beef burgers anymore, because I have this plant-based alternative that tastes absolutely amazing, and even our children as teenagers love them too, so that says a lot. Cool. When you can get teenagers to eat something that's meat-free and love it, it shows it must be really, really good.
No, that's real point. And if you guys figure like, why you raise up the food still, do challenge how you eat and what you eat and what you digest. But would encourage everybody, we're going to put all the links in the YouTube video. Go to, you know, a YouTube, again, subscribe, like, make sure you do all this stuff. But please, guys, I'm going to put some directions to the special podcast that Dee's doing right now, especially the one that we got coming out, which hopefully when this video is out, it should be already out. So I'm going to put that in the description. The interview with Professor or Dr.
Scantleberry.
What's what he said her name?
Scantleberry.
That does not sound like a black woman, does it? You know what I mean? Usually, anyway, so I don't want to be stereotypical. But Scantleberry, yeah, we're gonna go and do send a link over there. I'm gonna send some links over to Diary to Kidney Care UK as well, and also to some of the rest of the podcast for Diary of the Kidney Warrior, because you need to actually make sure you go through this, send it to friends. I believe in every black person's one relative away from being affected by kidney disease. You always know somebody within your family who has got it, whether a cousin, your auntie, your uncle. It affects us, you know, in all different ways. So do get it out and gain a bit more knowledge of how to approach it, because we are quite ignorant and we carry on, you know what I mean, doing the wrong things without that support. Well,
this is it. I mean, ultimately, knowledge is power. And that is the reason why another reason why I'm doing the podcast, is to empower people. Because at the end of the day, people can't change something if they don't know. So it really is about raising awareness and sharing that knowledge to say, you know, if you cut down a bit, you know, increase the water, cut down on the alcohol, cut out the smoking, you know, different things that could literally save your life. It's a small sacrifice in comparison. And not only that, it's that quality of life as well. Yeah,
100%. But listen, guys, we are running out of time, because you know what, still, I'm going to play one more track to end off the show with. But Dee, appreciate coming on the station. Definitely, we're going to be pointing everybody to Diary of a Kidney Warrior. We're going to be pointing everyone to, gotta get this right, Kidney Care UK. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Thanks for opening your ears to our community through Dee, being I'll call it ambassador, you know what I'm saying? And supporting the production of the podcast, which has only been a year long and less than a year, and you're already investing into that. So we appreciate your NHS, where you're at, man, where you're at. But as much, you know, where are you at actually? You know, do support us as we try to really educate our people to be in a better position and to have a better quality life, you know, because the support frameworks out there still. Yeah, but this is Roger on Affinity Extra, celebrating gospel music of Black origin, but also also talking about lifestyles and issues and different things on the Here on the Edge show. If you got anything else you want to hit us up about, if you got any questions, do direct message us, especially on Instagram. Do hit us on there if you got any questions on there, and do follow at a diary of a kidney warrior. I said that. Go on.
Diary of a Kidney Warrior. So on Instagram, Diary of a Kidney Warrior. On Twitter, it's Diary of a Kidney W, because he wouldn't give me enough letters to spell the whole word warrior. So
okay, cool.
Diary of a Kidney W.
Cool. Do check that out, and do send messages, direct messages for support anyway. Still, yeah.
And Facebook as well.
And 100% Facebook. Listen, guys, I am gonna finish up on Standstill. Do check out the hip hop sections that are gonna be on after us right now. That's gonna be on there from 8 o'clock. You got Beats and Bars, you got Street Flavors, you got myself with the live show as well. Still, and also listen to some of the sports talks that we have on there, wrestling and football and everything. So thanks again, Dee, for coming on the show. We're gonna play a bit of Walls Group, a bit of a groovy one right at the end of the show.
What do you do when...
Visit us for updates and shows at affinityextra.co.uk.